He's come here to actually share how you can take your business to the next level using video and some other techniques that he also wants to share with us. So I'm going to take this time. I want everybody to please give Blane a warm welcome and have him come up.
All right, got my phone. Everybody got their phones? If you just have your phone on you, I want you to have it. I would prefer it was on airplane mode, but I do want you to have your phones because we're gonna talk a little bit about how to use a lot of what you already have to do your marketing. And there's so much that you already have or that you can hook up for free that you can do. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna talk for about 30, 40 minutes. We're gonna do a little bit of demonstration. I've got a worksheet that I'm gonna hand out to everyone. And we're going to take a quick look at that. You're going to get a little bit of an idea of my unique philosophy of marketing. I call it New Media Marketing 4.0. And what that really means to me, it kind of goes along with the internet. So, you know, back in the day, the internet was, you got websites, and that's internet 1.0, really. So websites existed, they were pretty static. You'd go to a website, and it was little more than a portfolio. And it basically ended up being that everybody that had a business, everybody that had a storefront needed to have some kind of online presence, but it didn't really do anything. Then we got to Web 2.0, and that got a little bit more interactive. So maybe your stores online were able to do some sales. Maybe you were able to put a sales cart in your site. You were able to sell some stuff through a site. Maybe you were even able to have somebody sign up for your newsletter so you could get a little bit of information from people that were going to your website. So that was 2.0. 3.0 is kind of the advent of the app. And that's when people really started interacting with the computer. So now you actually have the computer or your iPhone or your app or your iPod, your iPad, actually giving you relevant information back. So you go in, you put something in there, and the app or the computer or the site that you go to is actually taking the information that you give it and giving you an intelligent response. Now, granted, it's all programmed, and you know, the better the app is programmed, the more intelligent the response is going to be. But that's really Web 3.0. To me, 4.0, and you haven't heard a lot about it, but there's a lot of people talking about it, like in the universities and stuff. And 4.0 is to take and to utilize all the technology and bring it back to human beings. So using the technology to actually connect and reconnect with human beings so that you can have one-on-one relationships. Now, how many of you are real estate professionals in the room? About half, okay. So I won't speak specifically to real estate. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But essentially, you know, business and my philosophy with creating business and how to do marketing is all through making connections with people. You see, I talk about telling your story. Your story is the most important thing that there is about you. And it's all about connecting with people in an authentic way and to stay within your integrity so that you can really connect with others. So, like Ernest said, I've been in New York since about 2000. I did my first professional lighting design in 1980, which was quite a while back. It was for community theater production of The Music Man, and I co-produced it, and we split a $250 fee for that, and I was on my way into my career in theater. My degree is in acting and directing, and I also have an English, so I'm a writer as well. And shortly after that, I started touring. So I toured for a number of years. I ended up in a small town in Wisconsin in 1995, where I spent 5.5 years as a college professor teaching theater to a bunch of small town, and well, not all small town, a bunch of college kids. My favorite job I've ever had. I love teaching. I love speaking to people. Wasn't making any money, and then I fell in love with an alto and or a mezzo-soprano and chased her to New York. Luckily, she found a tenor not long after that, and I was able to have a real life again. But for all of you who are married to opera singers, we can talk about that later. But she was a true diva. So anyway, so here I am. So I moved here in 2000. I started my production company. I realized very quickly that the New York, ironically, you know, I moved to New York to do theater and found out that the theater community is really, really tiny. And so that's when I started doing corporate stuff. You'll notice, you'll probably recognize an awful lot of these brands. These are all people that I've worked with since 2000. I spent some time in-house with them. I was in-house at Morgan Stanley for 6 years. And that's when I really started to get into the marketing and the advertising aspects of both live events coming from a theater standpoint as well as shooting video. So it really started out with twofold for me getting into the video. One was just a communications thing. Morgan Stanley has dozens of offices all over the world and about 35,000 employees. So if you want to speak to a lot of people, video is the right way to do that, and it's the best way to connect. The other part is that we started producing all the videos that we would show at our events. So I started to do a lot of interviews with the executives there, video communications, and that kind of thing. So, there's a lot of fun here. I somehow, it might look like I do a lot of stuff with banking, and I do. Most of my event production clients are still in the banking sector, banking and pharmaceuticals. Probably some of my favorite clients. They're fun. And, they like to spend a lot of money on their events. And I like to spend other people's money a lot. So, here we go. So the first thing, now, are all of you business owners or are like heads of divisions where you really have an entrepreneurial piece to the whole thing? All right, so I'm going to speak to you right now in this particular moment as you are the chief marketing officer of your business. And you may even have someone that works for you who is responsible for marketing, for advertising. You may hire an outsourced person. You might have a VA. I actually have several virtual assistants that I use for different things. Like one takes care of my website, one actually does a lot of writing for me. But the bottom line is that you are the chief marketing officer of your business. So everything that you do needs to be consistent with who you are, who your brand is, and how you project that out to the world. Now, and that really does mean 24/7. So when you go to the club, you're still being you. That doesn't mean that you're on the exercise bike and you're talking with other people about your business. You're not selling from the exercise bike unless, of course, a sale happens and then you do it. But the bottom line is that you are consistent with your brand as an entrepreneur that is a reflection of the business that you brought, that you've created. And there is something really special and unique about you that caused you to get into business yourself. I've had a couple of jobs in my life that I had for a few years. One was as a college professor and the other one was in-house at Morgan Stanley. That was fine for me, but at a point I realized that I have to have my own business. I am an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was really young, ran a t-shirt shop. I call myself a serial entrepreneur. That's who I am. My passion, and as I started to grow this business, I realized that my actor was starting to come back up in me, and I was looking for reasons to get out in front of in front of people and speak. But I was also really trying to connect with what really drives me as a human being. And one of my favorite things in the world and why I've chosen to create a marketing company is I love technology. I'm a total geek. I think I told you I started out in the business actually as a lighting designer. But I also love speaking to people and I love teaching. Both of my parents are high school teachers. And I really, really love finding out with people, digging deep into people and finding out who they are as a person and what drives them into doing their thing. I actually study a lot of different types of meditation. I study Tibetan Buddhism. I study Zen. And a little known secret, I'm actually a Zen monk. I just happen to have more hair than most monks do. But what that is really a way for me to learn how to get to people. And so my driving passion and the purpose about me behind my business is helping people find their stories, tell their stories, and get it out to the world because I love helping people grow businesses. And I believe that everybody who's here is here for a specific reason and has something special to offer. There's a gazillion real estate agents in this city, and I'm guessing that it's just slightly down from a gazillion. I'm sure the market will pick back up and everybody will be dropping everything. But there's a ton of people in your business, I guarantee you. It's a giant city. But there is something unique and special about you that is going to connect you to the right client. That if you tell your story in an authentic manner, your right client is going to find you. And to me, the best and most effective way to do that is through video. So, These are essentially the three basic parts of my platform. One is to identify your perfect client. And when I tell people how important it is to identify your perfect client, what I do is I actually use an old actor's exercise called a character study. And in that character study, there's basically three phases of it. You get assigned a role, and you read the script, and you read all of your lines. And so you get an idea of who you are and the character that you're playing by the words that you speak. The second part is that you then go through the script a second time, and you look about what everybody else says about you, both in the scenes that you're in and not in the scenes that you're not in. And that gives you another completely different idea of who you are in the play and how other people see you. But then the third part is that you go in and then you take what you've already learned and you flesh it out into a real human being. You do stuff that you would never find in the script. You decide, what is my favorite color? What is my favorite ice cream? What was the junior high school I went to? Things that wouldn't be in the script otherwise, but you really flesh that out so that in the play, when you're playing the play, if something weird happens or somebody drops their lines, you are so deeply into character and you know that character so well that you can react to anything consistent with who you are. And to me, that is the perfect client for everyone. Because what happens when you're speaking your own truth is that you're speaking to the perfect client. And if you're speaking your truth, one of two things is going to happen. Either that person gets completely shut off and they're done after a few seconds. And the beauty of that is that that's a person that would never have been your client anyway. So you're not wasting time having follow-up phone calls and coffee and all sorts of meetings. It's actually a really efficient way to really compress your sales cycle. So those people are gone. It's a little hard to let go of that, but it's really important that you do that so you can be as efficient as you can so you're speaking to the right people all the time, or most of the time. The second thing that happens is that if you're speaking to a specific person that you have a really clear message, that perfect person in you, if that person connects, what a person does, and this is something that I learned as an actor. How do I, as an actor on stage, connect to 1,500 people out in the audience? Or the movie stars connect to the millions of people that might watch a big show? Every person who's there has a different piece of themselves, and they hear, just like any kind of art. You show 50 people will go see a work of art, you're going to have 50 different ideas of what that art means to you. So what this person does, if they're connecting with you, they're going to find that perfect client in them, and a little piece of them that really identifies with them, and you're going to connect with them, and then you know that, and it's quick, and now it's time to do the follow-up. So that's kind of at the core of what I do. The second piece is to clarify your story. So now that you've identified your perfect client, now then you get into that passion piece of your own. So every time you meet someone, we're going to be doing some networking. You guys have been doing networking, in here for the last hour or so. Getting your story really clear as to who you are and why you do your business is how people are going to connect with you or not. And again, I have a worksheet that I call a manifesto, and we're going to talk about the video manifesto here in a little while. And there's 5 parts to that, and so we'll speak to that. And then the other piece of the platform, of the new media marketing platform, is to identify yourself and position yourself as an expert in your field. So now you're speaking with your authenticity, you're speaking from your soul and your heart, and now you do everything that you can to get known as an expert. So that when those people come to you, when the right people come to you, they know you as an expert. Most sales are made after 8 touches. And a touch can be a phone call or a handshake, but that's an incredible, and most salespeople, people who are in sales, they give up after 3. So how many sales are you losing by not having enough touches with a person? And that's where the positioning yourself as an expert comes in. It doesn't mean that you have to call them once a week and say, hey, it's me, are you ready to buy yet? That's just going to piss somebody off, and it's going to really annoy people. But if you're positioning yourself as an expert and you have an online newsletter, they might not even watch the newsletter. They might not even see it, but they're going to see that newsletter come up. They're going to say, after 2 or 3 weeks or maybe a couple of months, you're going to say, wow, she really knows what she's talking about. She's got all this content. And of course, there should be video in that newsletter, by the way. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can do your own video. All right, so there's a ton of statistics out here. And the big point I'm making right here is that Google bought YouTube in 2006. Google clearly owns the universe, right? They're by leaps and bounds the _1 search engine on the web. If you know, the name of the company has actually been turned into a verb, right? How many times a day do you hear Google it? I mean, and it's a great spell check too. If I don't know how to spell something, I go to Google and I just type it in, and they'll correct me. It's awesome. I mean, they're extraordinary. You know what the #2 search engine on the web is? Search engine. Yahoo, Bing. It's YouTube. The #2 search engine on the web is YouTube. And if you actually are selling any kind of service or product that somebody might search a how-to, it's the #1 search engine for any kind of how-to. But it's the #2. Yahoo, I believe, is #3 right now, and getting back, I love Yahoo's new CEO, by the way. She's amazing. And came from Google. True, good point. But Yahoo is starting to come back up, but they're a distant third. So you want to get yourself on YouTube, and you want to do the Google thing, and since we're talking about them now, you do need a social media presence. I don't care who you are or what you're doing. Your social media presence might look a little different depending on yourself and your business and who you are. It might be LinkedIn. It might be Facebook. Do not ignore Google+. Google+ is Google's new social media network. It's beautiful, and they haven't figured it out yet, but I believe very strongly that Facebook, the day that it launched its IPO, started going downhill, and they're struggling, and I really believe that within a couple of years, Google+ is going to be it. So do not ignore Google+. There's a million social networks out there, but don't ignore Google+. So here's some facts. In emails, 100% increase, doubling the number of emails that get opened if you do have an email marketing platform. Double the number of emails just by having a video. And so when you're doing that, I'll just give you this right now. What I do and what I teach my clients is that in the subject line, you want to put in brackets video. The first thing that you see in the subject line is video. And then also, something very important that we're going to talk about here in a minute is to keep it short. So keep the video short. It used to be 3 minutes. Now I try to keep everything under 2 minutes. Some stuff needs to be 3 to 5 if you're teaching something. But I really try to keep everything around a minute. And if you do that, and if you've got like a minute or a minute and 15, put the video in caps inside of the brackets, and then put the amount of time that somebody's going to have to spend. 73 seconds. Another bracket. And then the subject matter in as few words as possible. That will increase this number substantially. Who doesn't have 53 seconds or 75 seconds to look at a video? And again, establishing yourself as an expert. 4 times click-through rate. So what that means is that after the click-through rate is after they open the email, they do what you want them to. So it's either after they go to your website or get to your email. Someone, when they go to a website, they decide whether or not to stay on that website in less than, 1,500 milliseconds. So that's 0.15 seconds at looking at your website, whether or not they're going to stay there.
So you're going to cut someone's off, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. You have about 2 to 3 seconds to get them to click on something. So if you open the email, and so what I do is I take a screen capture of my video, something with me smiling. You want to have people in it. People connect with people, and a smile makes a huge difference. You put that in the top of the email so that it's above the fold. It's an old newspaper term, but as someone opens an email in a normal browser, you want to see you from the chin up at least at the top. So maybe 1 line of text, then the video. And you take that photograph, and then you can embed a hyperlink into that. Now, your mail program may not want to do that. Email marketing programs will do that. If you do like go through an online service like through Google, Google will let you add a hyperlink to a photograph. So then somebody clicks on that, they go to wherever you have that video going, which ideally is going to either be YouTube or your website, depending on your marketing program. So that's what the click-through rate means. 65% of buyers on the web purchase after watching a video. That's just an extraordinary. So here's some more stuff. 6 times more likely convert a browser into a paying customer if there's a video there that they can watch. Zappos, do you know the guy Tony Hsieh? He's someone I consider a mad genius. He created Zappos. Zappos has these little video rooms. In fact, I've kind of started doing this. I teach my clients how to do this, set up their own little video studios in their offices. Mostly, oftentimes with something that they have or really inexpensively. But they have these little video rooms. So an employee can go in and say, hey, I like these shoes. They go in, they turn it on, and they do a 2-minute video on their favorite pair of shoes. Zappos has most of the shoes that are on their website actually have accompanying videos. 6 times more likely to buy after seeing the actual shoes in somebody's hands. 20% of visitors will read the majority of a text on a website. 80% will watch a video. You're 50 times likely to have your page ranked on page number 1 if you have a video. The other thing about Google that they're starting to do now, 2 other important points about this. One is that Google is now tracking how long people watch your video. So if somebody watches your video all the way through, that video will get ranked higher than somebody who watches the video for 8 seconds and then clicks off. Again, another reason you want to start strong and you want to keep it short. Okay, so here's some different kinds of marketing videos. The video manifesto, that I'm going to show you here in a little bit. That is my trademarked platform. It's 1 minute to 1.5 minutes long, and it's a very clear statement. It has 5 parts, and there are 5, what I consider to be 5 parts to an effective marketing video. And I'm going to tell you that right now. So this is not on a slide. So if you've got a notepad. 1, it's a simple, clear, bold statement of who you are. So this kind of goes back to the identifying your perfect client and you're writing your, knowing your purpose and having your thing down. So a simple, bold statement of who you are. 2, who I am talking to. And I actually coach my people to talk directly into the camera and say, you are this. Again, it's a bold statement, but you're talking to your perfect client, and people are either going to connect or they're not, and that's fine. A bold statement of who you're speaking to. 3, it's what I call the pain spot, the motivation. There's 2 parts of the pain piece. All of you guys that I've met at Jeremy Rawitz, where I met this gentleman at Sandler, know about pain. We talk about pain all the time. There are 2 parts of pain: your client's pain, your perfect client's pain. So what is their pain? And then what is your pain? So what was the pain, with the motivation that caused you to do that thing, to do your business, to create your business? Which leads directly into the 4th part, which is what I call the special sauce part. That's a technical term. Stole that from McDonald's. They're going to get me one day. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the actual old McDonald's commercials. But anyway, the special sauce. So now that you've identified the pain, you're talking to your client, what makes you special as to how are you going to relieve that pain? And then the 5th part, and potentially the single most important part, is a very simple, clear, single call to action. Call me at this phone number. Email me at. Click the link below. One simple, clear call to action. A confused mind does not buy. A confused mind goes somewhere else. Don't say call me or email me. One or the other. Pick one. And that is the 5th part. Those are the parts that I use when I do an effective marketing video for people. Now, there's a lot of different videos. There's product videos, testimonials. Part of the program is community building. And I talk a lot about using testimonials, both giving and getting testimonials, in order to build your community. And a really generous testimonial is a great way to get somebody into your community. Again, minimum of 8 touches on it. Excuse me. 8 touches to buy. A really nice touch is to give somebody a testimonial. And it's a great way to connect, and it's a great way to keep them as part of your clan. Expert leader in the industry. That's what I usually use in the third part of my program, which is the monthly newsletter. That's where you give away some really important, useful information. Again, that video should be about 2 to 2.5 minutes long, but this is where you really give out something good that's valuable. In the real estate, it might be, you take your white paper, what is the premium or the freemium that you get? So you come to my website, you sign up for my newsletter, and you get a white paper that says, these are the 5 things to avoid when looking for an apartment in Brooklyn. Do that in the video. So now you're giving away really good stuff, and that's you making yourself an expert in the industry. A teaser, this one's kind of fun. I actually have a new client who's developing an app and launching an app in about 6 months. So we're doing an entire series of teaser videos. We're actually, we started shooting last weekend, we're gonna shoot again this weekend. Don't even know what it's gonna be yet, but super fun. Total teasers. We're not telling what the app is, we're not telling what it does, but we're getting people interested. The teaser and the storytelling are probably the 2 most powerful emotional pieces. And again, people connect with you emotionally. Another Sandler thing they talk about is showing up and throwing up. You don't want to give, people don't buy statistics. People buy an emotional connection. People buy trust. People will trust you through the storytelling piece and through the expert in the industry piece. And then video blogging. Most of these videos, it's really easy. Again, inside of the Google universe, you can do a blogger. If you have a WordPress website, a lot of people use WordPress templates. It's really easy to insert a blog. All the videos you do, all the writing you do, just pop the video in the blog, then you take the blog, the URL of the new video blog, you throw it on your social media sites, whatever those might be, and you have a marketing program. So what do we have next? Okay. So here's a couple things. Keep it short. We talked about that. Be clear with your message. Yeah, let's hand out the worksheets, guys. So I'm going to hand out a worksheet right now, and this is the perfect client worksheet. So I don't want you to take the time. It's 3 pages long. I don't want you to take the time to do the whole thing, but I want you to go through. I just hand out piles to the people at the end, and they can pass them down. And if you need a pen, does anybody need pens? Yeah, we've got some pens back there as well. Okay, you'll see that I get as granular and what might seem ridiculous as asking for name and hair color and all of this. I want you guys, one of the things that usually there's one of 2 things that happen when you start shooting video. And I want you all to be able to shoot your own video. You guys, you've got this thing, which is my iPhone, has an unbelievable camera in it. And I actually know one of the guys out in California that works in their audio division. The amount of technology that goes into the noise canceling, if you're careful, you can shoot amazing video with these. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the tips and tricks on how to do that here in a little bit. But one of 2 things that happens, even if you know the technology, you look in the camera and you've got this thing going on in your mind. It's like, I feel so ridiculous. I'm talking into a piece of plastic and glass. I can't emote right now because I'm talking to an inert object. The other thing that happens is you start to freak out and your mind starts to go crazy because you're thinking about the end product, which means that there's millions of nameless, because this is going on the internet, right? It's going to go on your blog, it's going to go out to people. All these people, these nameless, faceless millions out there who are watching your video and judging you. And then you start to think, do I really know what I'm talking about? Do I sound stupid? So to me, this is the perfect way to erase camera shyness, public speaking stuff. You get really clear about who you're talking to. So instead of looking at a camera or an inert object or your phone, I'm standing here in public talking to my phone, you have a really clear picture of the person, of an individual that you're speaking to. And if you're doing that, you're looking into the phone, but you're actually visualizing a human being, it's amazing how that shyness goes away and you start to it takes a little bit of practice. But with a very little bit of practice, you can really start to nail it and you're really talking to somebody. Some people have the perfect client, some people don't. In my opinion, the perfect client is somebody that every time, you probably have their face, their photograph in here so that their face pops up every time they call. But every time that you see their phone number pop up, you get really excited because two things are going to happen during the call. One, you're going to actually enjoy the phone call, and B, you're going to hang up richer. A lot of people don't have that, so make one up. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to just take a quick look at this, fill it in. If there's something that's going to make you think, then just skip it and go on. I just kind of want you to work through the worksheet, and then you can take it home and finish it up. Now, I do have, Ernest has everybody's emails that registered today. So there's the companion piece, the manifesto piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out an email next week that, with Ernest's permission, then you guys can download the manifesto piece. So you take the perfect client, and then step 2 is really clarifying your message. And that's what the manifesto does. So go ahead and just take a couple of minutes. Take a look at that. Start to visualize who you're talking to when you're doing your marketing videos. And the thing is, too, like any of you who do phone sales, any of that stuff, just visualize before you get in, as you're preparing for that phone call, call up that person in your head, and that person that draws the best of you out of you. Get that person there. And then you can pick up the phone. You can go on stage. You can start to shoot that video. Okay, let's bring this to a close. And what I want you to do is just connect. This is a networking event, right? So connect to somebody next to you. And I want you to just tell the person, your partner, whoever's next to you, just tell them if there's something that you discovered about your perfect client that maybe you didn't know before, or maybe something interesting about the worksheet to help you connect to someone. Just take 10 seconds and connect. Just tell your partner something about your perfect client. So did anybody find that interesting? Yeah. You kind of getting it? So, you might want to exchange a business card or a phone number with somebody. Take it home, fill it out, finish it, and then maybe call each other and just share with each other what you're getting out of it. I think this is an incredibly powerful thing. So let's move on. All right, so here's the 3 different kinds of video that I teach. So the 15 to 30 second the video bit, is one that I think you can do with your iPhone or your iPad or your Android or whatever you have. And that's a perfect way to share a testimonial. You get off a phone call with a great client. This is where you're just yourself. You're just being yourself. But I'm really excited about a new client. I actually posted one, and this client I was telling you about with the app, they called me up, and I had signed an NDA. That's why I'm not telling you anything else about it. I had signed this NDA. And so I get this phone call, and they're like, that video that you posted, was that talking about us? I'm like, oh my God, did I accidentally spill the beans? Did I say something that I shouldn't have? And I started to freak out, and I'm like, well, yeah, I think it was, which one? She goes, yeah, the one you're talking about, the NDA. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, well, that's so cool. She loved it. She absolutely loved it. And of course, I didn't spill the beans. I was very careful. I was basically talking about that I had just signed an NDA on a really exciting project that really touched my heart. And they thought that was so cool. So, community building right there. So that's a perfect example of the video bit. Now, if you have an email list, I strongly suggest doing just a weekly update. And that, too, can be done either in your office. And there's a few little tips and tricks that you can do. Just do a little bit of testing. You can do it with your iPhone. You can do it with a camera on your computer. Connect that right to a YouTube channel. Post it to YouTube. Again, then grab the URL, pop it around the internet, put it on your social media, but also in an email marketing campaign. There's a lot of different email marketing programs that you can get on the internet that are free, that are actually worth using. There's a company in Brooklyn called Mad Mimi that I'm absolutely in love with. They've got a great free program. Their business started just a few blocks from here. There's another, Constant Contact, has a really good program that's free, as does MailChimp. So I would check out any of those and then just start getting email addresses and start putting out a weekly update. The monthly newsy, I call it the newsy vlog. So this is definitely something, everything that you do should go into a video blog. Google also loves, with their ranking, loves fresh content. So the more fresh content you're putting on your blog or on your website, the higher you're going to end up getting ranked. So they rank video higher than they rank written content, and they love new, fresh content. And that's why, so this is generally, it depends on your skill level. Some of my clients have us shoot it. Some of my clients shoot it themselves. Some of them have hired me to come into their offices, show them and set up an office studio for them. And then they send us and we edit the videos. This one, these two are unbranded generally. This one should be branded. You should put either a bug in the corner, which is your logo, kind of translucent like the TV networks do. Put that down in the lower right-hand corner, or lower left-hand corner. And that way they're looking at something that's branded. It looks really cool. It's not very hard to do. You can do it in iMovie if you've got a little bit of technical expertise. iMovie? Or Windows Media Movie Maker. I'm a Mac guy, but I know that iMovie is $29. I think Windows Media Movie Maker is free or comes with the Windows. You can do a lot of that stuff with those, and you can quickly edit. Or if you just don't want to take the time, then just have an intern do it or call me. I am happy to edit your video for you. You also want to make sure that there's slates in it. We call it slates, which is at the front and at the back, that basically reiterates your call to action, which has either your web address, your email address, or a phone number to call. So your logo up front and generally the call to action at the back. So that's what the monthly news, and this is the one where I was talking about you really position yourself as an expert. These two are just kind of updates. This is a great one to do a testimonial and to talk about like a win of a client or a great win that you've had. This one is where you definitely are getting yourself known as an expert. You're really positioning yourself as an expert. So you're giving away valuable information. And people will get to know that your newsletter is going to have good, valuable information. It's going to help them out. All right, tips of tricks. Lots of light. Your camera loves light. Now, sunlight is awesome. These are great in your office. On a bright, sunny day, this is great. These kind of things are perfect. You do not want direct sunlight that'll blow your camera out, and you want to make sure that you're even. Just do a little practice. But you definitely want a lot of light in your office. You need a decent mic. Now, the iPhone, if you're being conscious of the noise around you, the iPhone is going to be just fine. What I usually do is when I'm doing my iPhone videos, I'll actually, I practiced enough where I do this, so it's actually cupping, it's kind of keeping the ambient sound out and catching my voice as I do it. And actually, this is an iPhone 5, and the iPhone 5s are now done. So the microphone's down here, and you actually do your videos this way on the iPhone 5. If you've got a 4 or a 4S, you want to make sure that you're doing them lengthwise, and you want to make sure that the camera's in the lower left-hand corner if you're with a 4 or 4S. Androids, I don't know. Just practice. Just practice. And look at the camera. One of the things, again, that people kind of feel weird is there's a tiny little camera right here. The other thing with an iPhone, and most of the phones here, they have two cameras. There's a camera in back and a camera on front. You do not want to use the front camera. You actually want to practice so that you get used to using the camera on the back, because the camera on the back that's facing away from you is twice as good as the camera that's on the front. The camera on the front is basically just for video conferencing. And that works best if it's a lower quality photo because of all the data that's being transferred. So it'll actually work fine on the cellular networks. So just a few little camera tricks. And you do want to look right into that camera, and you want to have your perfect client in mind while you're doing that. So you're seeing all the way through the camera into that perfect client. The reason for that is because people, the window to the soul is the eyes. People want to see your eyes. They will feel more connected with you. If you're looking away, I do this thing where I think, and I do this think thing, and I look up, and then I look back. That's fine. But again, practice and see what you like, see what you don't. Wear solid colors. The reason I say that is you just want to avoid stripes. There's this thing called the moire effect, and if you're wearing stripes, digital video, you will actually be dancing. Like your shirt will move. So you want to be wearing solid colors. And I like to use bold colors. I really like, this is a nice heavy purple. I really like in video, if you've got plenty of light, use some bold colors. You'll really stand out and pop out of that. And then there's a thing called the rule of thirds. So what you want to do, and next time you're watching your favorite TV show, ideally if it's a little bit dramatic, is you divide the screen in thirds, both horizontally and vertically. And so what you do is you do not want to be in the center of the screen. That's boring, our eyes shut off, our minds just say, well, that's center. We really, as human beings, we really are not interested in oh my God, an easy word just popped right out of my head. In balance. Well, things need to be in balance, but they don't need to be equal. So what you do is you divide it into thirds. You want your eyes on that top horizontal line. And ideally, the side of your face, or maybe depending on how dramatic, you want it to be on one of the side vertical lines, so that your eyes are at the top horizontal, which is where, as a viewer, your eyes will normally go. And you'll see it. I'm going to show a video here in about 2 seconds. You'll see what I'm talking about. And you can decide how extreme, but you do not want to be in the center. So you divide your screen in thirds both ways, and you actually kind of want to be on those thirds lines. It's much more interesting to viewers. Next time you're watching your favorite TV show, just notice the camera work. Just see it, and you'll see it. You'll notice it. It's kind of interesting. All right, so now I'm going to show you a video manifesto. And you'll see some of the stuff that I'm talking about. Now, obviously, this is professionally shot in my studio with professional lighting. And this is a gentleman who is a hedge fund recruiter.
My name is Dan Ogden, an executive recruiter focusing on financial services operations, risk management, compliance, regulatory, project management, and audit. And I work with professionals just like you. So you are a financial services executive. You're probably in operations, risk management, audit, maybe management consulting, or possibly project management. You've been in the industry for probably 20 or more years, and you're at a point where you're feeling like you might be aged out of a number of opportunities that are out there, but you just don't know how to get your particular splendor in front of the kinds of people who can use your particular splendor. When you meet with me, it's going to be clear to you that you've never in your life met a recruiter who understands what you do better than I do. When you go in on your own, you wind up going in probably through a resume portal. You're going to be one of 300, 400 candidates. Nobody's ever going to get to read your resume from beginning to end. When I present you, they know that you've been tech screened and are qualified for the role. I make it easier for them to figure out where your particular fit is. My name is Dan Ogden, and I'll introduce you to a company that you didn't know was hiring for a role that you didn't know existed, that you couldn't imagine a better possible fit for. Email me at dan.ogden@rockwood-search.com.
That's a video manifesto. So that's kind of my bread and butter. It's my favorite thing. And you saw in that, that's about 75 seconds. And in that 75 seconds, you saw all 5 pieces. And this is where I kind of go back to my acting. You saw the entire arc of a 5-act Shakespearean play. So you saw his statement. You saw him introduce himself. You saw him speak directly to his perfect client. He actually did this after, I do a 3.5-hour seminar, and then we shoot afterwards. So he did this worksheet in the seminar with me, very similar to how you guys did, obviously a little bit more time because it's longer, and the manifesto worksheet, which I'm going to send you guys. So he did that in the seminar. We talked about the marketing plan, and then everybody in the seminar, I do these little short, like 6 to 10 people. Then they take turns and they shoot it. So that's how he did it. So he went through the program, had it fresh, and then we shot it. His simple statement, Act 2, is who you are, speaking directly to the client. Act 3 is introducing the pain, the motivation, both his and his clients. Act 4 is why he is special to the universe. You are never going to meet a recruiter that understands you and this industry better than me. And then a simple, clear call to action. Email me at dan.ogden@rockwell-search.com. That was it, 75 seconds. And yeah.
How much did you shoot?
75 seconds. Generally, it takes me about 15 minutes. So the other interesting thing too is that a lot of times what people will do, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves in the world, is you'll write a script, and you'll notice when you get the manifesto worksheet, it is not a script, it's a worksheet. It's bullet points. So I do not use, you'll notice that he was actually just talking. He was talking to me. We don't use a teleprompter. I hate teleprompters. You get people that are so clearly reading. And even if you're really, 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 really good, you know, even the newscasters who do it every day, they're so obviously reading a script. I hate that. So I'm behind the camera and we have a conversation. Takes about 15 minutes to shoot one of these. Yeah.
You shot that one time simultaneously with two cameras? Or
Two cameras, yes. Two cameras.
That's why it seems he had the same tone, but it was different.
Exactly, exactly. One audio track, two cameras, and that again is kind of a little special thing that I like to do. I like to do the off-axis camera, and the color here isn't great on the projector, but you'll notice that the full color is front on, and then it's black and white from the side. And we use that 3, maybe 4 times during the manifesto, a cut to the side, and that's to really punctuate a point. It's just a slightly more dramatic thing. It's something that we've taken from documentary filmmaking. Yeah, you steal from stuff that works, right? So yeah. So that's a video manifesto. So what I'm doing, and Ernest and I have talked about this. My manifesto is normally $1,500. So what I thought I would do tonight is just offer you guys a video manifesto shoot. So what I'm doing is I'm going to add as a bonus the 2 free coachings. So a 30-minute coaching on the worksheet and a 30-minute coaching on the manifesto. And then if you want to buy it, normally that's it's a $1,500 thing. Get it today, and it's $9.97. So if you are interested in doing, what's that? That's so cheesy. I hate that. I'm doing this as like everybody tells me I have to do it this way. And it's like, this is the way everybody does it, and it works, and I know all that. It's so damn cheesy, I hate it. Which is why my face is bright red right now. I just got really hot. So, but seriously. No, thank you. No, of course. And that's why I clicked through it so quickly. I mean, you guys can add, right? 1,500 plus 350. So normally I do charge the 350 for the worksheets. So if somebody is doing a video, and if you are doing a video, I'll do 2 30-minute preps for you. We'll do this stuff, and I'll get you prepped for, like, if you're going on TV or something, and that's just something that I do. And then it's $1,500 for the manifesto. So if you are interested in the manifesto, talk to me tonight, and we can get a deposit down, and I'll do the thing for $1,000. So, all right? Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Because I woke up on the phone.
No problem.
I apologize.
No, it's okay.
But have you ever seen the bomb, the technology with the videos? And what it does is like it's sort of taking what you're doing with the videos
Mm-hmm.
and it puts it into an email. And I think you pay the subscription is like $300 per year per se. And it puts it into the email where you can track who's actually watching the video when you're sending it out. So basically, like I was in a meeting, let's say 2 weeks ago, right, with the guy
Mhm.
who's doing it, and he's basically like a real estate mentor. And you go on the thing, you can literally get in your car, you're taking a quick video like this,
Absolutely.
similar to like what that, and then it sends it back through the text and through the email. And if you watch the actual video, you'll get back the information.
What is that? I don't know that.
It's called a bomb.
Bomb. I don't know that.
It's my company.
I do it. I was gonna say, dude, come on up. No, I mean, why do it? Right.
Because as soon as you watch it, they know that you watch it, and they can actually pump on it. So if
Yeah.
you send somebody a video like this, and you're doing it creatively,
Mhm.
he definitely wasn't doing it creatively.
Yeah.
He was literally doing it like this from the car. But we were able to watch it instead of giving a follow-up email like, "Hey, meeting was great," and blah blah blah. The email just pops up straight with the video.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool because
Yeah.
then I ended up watching it, and he knew right away, and he like instant messaged me through Facebook. I see you just like, and he already knew I watched the video, and I was like, this is crazy. Because
That's cool.
he's
I'm
already
definitely
knowing,
checking that
you know,
out
it's like
tomorrow.
right
That sounds,
now,
yeah.
but it was definitely new age.
Mhm.
Cool. It caught me,
Yeah.
you know, it got me more excited about
Yeah.
what he was actually selling at the time.
That's cool. That's great. Yeah, I use a website called Wistia that does a similar thing, and then my email marketing platform also tells me, you know, who clicks, how long does it get done, and the beauty of that is that, like, if my normal click through is 35%. And then I find something that gets 50%. Awesome. But then I find that 50%, 75% of them are all quitting at about the same time in the video. I can go to the video and I can take a look. And yeah, I get all that. It's unbelievable. And yeah, and you can go as deep as you want in that stuff. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, so, yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, is utilizing all this amazing technology.
And I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would we apply this to most of us here in the real estate field?
Absolutely.
How would you say the 4.0 would be applicable to us to get with clients either we've already worked with or
Right. So, actually, Ernest and I have talked about this a number of times. You're creating community. So if you go back to the program itself, the 3 different parts right here. So each one has a specific call to action, which is essentially going to be contact me, call me, or email me. So now you're using the video to get somebody to come to you. The 30-second vet might be a testimonial. It might be a specific thing that you send to a client. It might be a great win. Either of these are for wins. What you're doing is you're creating community by doing this. You're giving of the testimonial very generously. And you're spreading it out over your social network. So now what you're doing, and then you're also fostering connections between your clients. That's something else, that once you start building a community, once you've really gotten yourself positioned as an expert in your field, then you start getting referrals back and forth. Then you're connecting your clients. Now, this is a real estate guy, right? And he's got, and we found that less than half the room is actually real estate people. Well, he's just creating a networking event. So he's creating, this is exactly what he's doing with his events. He's creating community. Now, look at this room. This is what, the 3rd or 4th one you've done? 4th. Yeah, I mean, this is amazing, right? So now he's bringing you guys together. Now, you guys might meet and start doing business with each other. But you're all going to say, Ernest is building his community. And as a real estate agent, you're building community. I've got, my brother and my father have a small Freeston Associates Realty back in small town in Iowa. And it's all about community. They have houses that they've sold, 4 or 5 times. My dad's been in the business since he retired as a basketball coach and school teacher, 20 years ago. He also has families that he's sold as the family grows, 4 or 5 houses to. That's the same sort of thing. So you tell these stories. You tell your story. You tell your client's stories. Say you've got a new listing. Give each one of those listings their own video manifesto. So use those 5 pieces. And instead of saying, okay, this is about me, but take that same template that I'm going to send you and make this property. The property has a story. If you tell that property story, people are going to see you as an interesting guy. There's a guy on the Upper West Side that doesn't use video, but he does a newsletter, and I get his newsletter. I'm not buying on the Upper West Side right now. I got a row house in Jersey City. It's where my home and my office is. But I love it, and I actually open and read his emails. I look at the properties that he has, because he's telling a story. And he goes from, a $197,000 closet to a $16 million, I'm sorry, I grew up in Iowa, To me, I'm sorry, I don't know how 3 people can live in 350 square feet. I don't get it. But anyway, but you know what I mean. And so I go in and I look, and so he's actually my barometer on what's going on in the Upper West Side. So someday, when this starts to make me millions of dollars, and I do want a $3-4 million, that's actually a place I'd love to live. He's getting my phone call. It might be 3 years down the road before that happens. So, but is that making sense? Am I answering your question? So, and I do a lot of events too. I come from a live event space. So just keep fostering your community, building yourself up as an expert, making real connections with people. And, especially take that iPhone out, turn on the lights, open the windows, tell that property's story. Talk to the client that's really going to, you know what? You are the family. You might have a new year kid. Right around the corner is one of the best preschools in the city. So you might have a 2 or 3 year old that you want to be able to walk to school in the morning. Whatever that story might be, just build the story. Yeah. The 5 steps, I do not have them on a slide, but the 5 steps to an effective marketing video are: I am. 2, you are, and that's speaking to your perfect client or speaking to the client. 3 is the pain. Part 1 of the pain is the client's pain. Part 2 of the pain is your pain that you felt to start your business, which then kind of segues right into part number 4, which is my special sauce. So I started this business because I want X, Y, and Z, and because of that, I can do this. The reason that I'm an effective marketing person is because of my Zen training, it's because of my acting training, it's because of my director's training, and it's because that I've started, I don't know, a dozen different businesses in my life, and I've failed at several. Learn from that. And then 5 is the call to action. Do not forget a single, simple, clear call to action. A confused mind doesn't buy. Yeah.
And wouldn't you feel like, just in general, it's important to do it more like this? Because I've seen a lot of people in the industry do this, even on our side, on the mortgage side.
Sure.
And when you do these things bad, it actually has a worse effect than what you're trying to. Like we've
Absolutely.
seen people do these videos where it's like baffling to us that they can even do business after watching them
Right.
actually do it.
Same thing, with photographs.
How a bad job can just be.
Right. Yeah, you really do. And it's the simple, it really is, if I can get to the, some of these things. Make sure you've got enough light. Just practice, And again, it's the same rules. A lot of you guys in the industry know the basic rules about how to take a decent photograph. The closets, you use a fisheye lens. Well, you're not going to use a fisheye lens on your phone, but what can you do? The huge part of that is being honest and in integrity. So you, as the person who's shooting the video, you're narrating it yourself. You're excited about this for some reason. It might be a 350 square foot thing, but you know what? It's the great first apartment. NYU student, Columbia student, this is the place for you. And these are the 3 really cool things about this place. And be authentic. Yeah, it's tiny. Yeah, but it's not, it's not for everybody. So, and I think the authenticity part, you're really being honest with yourself and just
Keeping it real in Brooklyn.
yo. The Norwegian from Minnesota says yo. Yeah. All right. Actually, I've gone a little bit long. I mean, does anybody else have any other questions? I hate to take up your time. It's a little after 8, so.
Anybody have any other questions?
Good. All right. Well, thank you guys. Maybe you can tell that this is one of my favorite things in the world to do. So thank you for letting me come up and share